fellow countrymen and countrywomen, greetings to all of you Ugandans. The year that is ending had good things, but also had bad things. The bad things included crime, like the killing of Nagirinya, landslides, and floods. Crime had gone up mainly because of the corruption and laxity of the police force and the other security agencies. There was also the historical under-equipping of the police force. When earlier on I addressed Parliament on the 20th of June 2017, I laid out the 10 points of handling crime. Some of the steps outlined in that speech have already been worked on, especially some aspects of the cameras and the fingerprinting of the guns. Many of the other steps are not yet worked on. Nevertheless, the little that has been implemented has already created problems for the criminals. During Christmas, the recent Christmas, the police reported 21 murders in the whole country. Most of the murders, however, were straightforward cases of drunken fights, fighting over women, and the suspects are either known or have been arrested. Therefore, the crimes which were committed recently are not the type of sophisticated crimes that we are beginning to deal with. These are just simple fights. Except there were two which I saw in the report. One was in Nyakayo Zombarara, where an 80-year-old man was murdered at the gate of his house when he was coming back from merrymaking in the night. Then there was also a girl, a 13-year-old girl, who was killed in Yumbe somewhere. I think she was raped. She was also coming from night merrymaking. Those are the only ones where the suspects are not yet clear, but all the others, the suspects are either known and are on the run, or they have been arrested. Therefore, the ability of the criminals to do bad things and escape is going down. Yet the anti-crime measures we have planned for are not even 30% implemented. We have just implemented a little of the 10 measures which I announced in 2017, but already the criminals are really under pressure. One element that was assisting crime was the corruption and laxity of the police force. I have made it clear that the youth that want to join the police force, or the army are in tens of thousands. Therefore, those rotten potatoes in the police will not waste our time. Anybody who does not do his duty will be arrested, charged, sentenced, and dismissed from the police force promptly and replaced by those that are ready to work. I can assure you, crime will be defeated. That is what I told you, and that is what will happen. On the issue of the disasters, landslides, floods, etc., yes, there was heavy rain. However, the bigger problem is the disrespect for the environment by the population. God provided for us carefully and deliberately. Mountains are clothed with forests, and swamps are clothed with papyrus and swamp grass like ebigugu in Runyankore, whose scientific name is Cyperus latifolia. This vegetation cover protects the soil on the hillsides from the strong raindrops. Amakanda. You know, your Runyankore language has got all the words. The English don't have a word for raindrop. They say raindrops, drops of rain. But your Runyankore language, one word, Amakanda. Amakanda means the raindrops. Also it means. It doesn't mean anything else. This vegetation cover protects the soil on the hillsides from the strong raindrops, the Amakanda I talked about. The undergrowth, the bushes which are under the trees, and the bed of leaves on the ground which have dropped, slows down the runoff water. Omutunga, Omukoka in Uganda, Alele in Luo. All those slow down the speed of the Alele, the Mukoka. The roots of the trees hold the soil. The slowing down of the runoff water forces water to sink in the ground and therefore replenish the underground water. The water table under the ground gets more water. And the vegetation filters the Mutunga water so that it enters the rivers when it is free of soil and silt. Like in my compound here, I am addressing you from my village in Raikitura. My compound is all with grass. So any Mukoka here will not carry soil to the river because the grass will filter it. But if there was no grass in the compound here, the Mukoka will now carry all the soil to my dams. My dams will be silted up. So this is a free kakunguta bakaita mu Luganda. Kakunguta akobwerere provided by God himself to filter the water so that when the water goes into the river, it has no soil, it has no silt, it is clean water. However, the rebellious people who rebel against God's plans, they come and say, no, the grass must be removed. So you leave bare soil. Bare soil, the Mutunga will carry now all the soil into the rivers. But in the process, also make the mountain side loose. The ground becomes loose. And in no time it goes and you get a landslide. And part of the mountains, Banyangwere call it Okubeguka. Okubeguka is to peel off. When a part of something breaks off, it is okubeguka. And swallows the people. That's what happened at Namesi in Bugisu some years ago when I went there in Manafa, Bududa. In the wetlands, the swamp grass again filters the swamp water so that it enters the lakes and the rivers when it is free of soil and silt. The swamp grass, through transpiration, sucks water from the swamp and throws it in the atmosphere for rain formation. All this is arranged by God. That swamp grass is also helps in the manufacture of rain. How does it do it? It sucks water from the swamp, uses some of it for itself, and throws the rest of the water into the sky. When it goes up, it becomes rain. Therefore, encroaching on the swamps, invading the natural high-rise forests, like for instance here in the Ankole area, the Imaramagambo forest. This is an ancient forest, Imaramagambo. When you go there, you don't have any words. It's so big that you are speechless. That's what it means. There used to be a forest which was part of Ankole, but which was put in Tanzania by the colonial borders. It is called Mzeiro Takwa. In the olden days when there were fights among the tribes, if you took refuge in that forest, nobody would get you. It's Mzeiro Takwa, the parent who cannot give you up. Once you go there, nobody can see you. It is in Tanzania. Mzeiro Takwa. These are the forests which people are invading. These who are invading forests will get problem from our ancestors' spirits. Because these are forests which are part of our heritage. Or settling on the mountains whose gradient is more than 32% degrees. Because 32 is like this. If you go beyond that, you are like on a wall and you will fall off. A house cannot stand on a slope, according to the engineers, which is more than 32 degrees steep. Doing all this is suicide for the individuals, as has been repeatedly confirmed in the Rwenzori and the Elgon areas, but is also suicide for the country of Uganda and for the African continent. So therefore, countrymen and women, going into the wetlands, going into the forests, going on the very steep mountain slopes, more than 32% degrees steep, is suicide. We talked about this before. Some of the cheap politicians were misleading people not to listen to our message, and the consequence are this death. Death in the swamps, death in the forest, in the mountains. Fortunately, there is an intelligent, easy, and lucrative way out. In fact, there are two ways. These are fish farming on the edges of the swamp. We make fish ponds, not in the swamp, but in the edges of the swamp. The edge of a swamp is called Omuiga in Runyankore. So Emiga is plural. And once the water is restored in the swamp, then we use it to irrigate the nearby non-swamp land. So we've got everything. First you restore the wetland. Then you have the fish ponds at the edge. And then because the water has come back in the swamp, you now use it to irrigate the land which is not swamp, so that you can have agriculture all the year round. We have already tried this in the Limoto restored wetland, where we have created 5 fish ponds in one acre at the edge of the swamp, from which the members are now earning shillings 120 million per year. Yet previously, these same people had encroached on 100 acres of the swampland for rice, from which they were earning only 7 million shillings a year. What futile and dangerous exercise is this? Anybody who has got doubts, you go and see Limoto. Limoto is between Parisa and Bodaka. We used part of the US dollars 24 million. The Honorable Sam Kutesa got for us while he was in the UN. Only US dollars 4 million has so far been used in the East and the Kabale area. I have appealed to the environmental friendly people the world over to build up this fund to US dollars 200 million, so that we, in a friendly way and a profitable way, restore all the wetlands and the dangerously steep mountain slopes. Since the 1960s, the NRM has been a mass-oriented party. Yes, even at the dawn of independence, there was already a thin layer of prosperous Ugandans, a few chiefs, a small groups of the new politicians, some few traders, few expatriate companies like Gay and Roberts, and a few Asian business people. These were prosperous. Even at independence, we already had some small group of people who were prosperous. However, the huge majority of Ugandans were still in the traditional system of okukolera ekida kyonka, working only for the stomach, as our Bagwere people in eastern Uganda say. Those Bagwere say okukolera ekida kyonka. Our Luo people say teach mecham keken, only working for the stomach. Even at that time, there was no good reason for people remaining poor. It was only ignorance that mainly kept people poor. That is what I set out to challenge since 1959 when I came to Mbara High School from Ntungamo, and I was able to compare what we were doing in Ntungamo with what the government was doing at the Mbara Stock Farm. Our Baganda people say, adinga na maolu agajamu omukuto. The one who repeatedly eats the old food of yesterday, the cold food of yesterday, eventually also gets satisfied. That's what the proverb says. Adinga na maolu agajamu omukuto. If you keep repeating something, you will get good results. That's what it means. I do not know why our Baganda people thought that obhoro, the food that has cooled, is not good. I don't know why they say amaolo. Amaolo ngagala nnyo gendia. I always only eat obhoro. I never eat ebitagata because the Nyankwere obhoro versus ebitagata. Anyway, even our traditional Baganda saw that repeatedly addressing an issue brings results in the end. That is exactly what the NRM has been doing since the 1960s when we were still students. Our strategic aim was to convert the Bakorera Echida Kyonka people, what they call in English subsistence farmers, into commercial farmers, but with the Kibaro. Proper economics for the family business, Chura in Luo, Aymar in Ateso, Otita in Lugubara. All homes of Korera and Sao with the Kibaro. Okorera Echida, like the Bagwere say, but also Okorera and Sao, but with the Kibaro. That is the line of the NRM from the 1960s. We did not believe in the colonial arrangement of the enclave economy, which is what we found at independence. A small island of prosperous people surrounded by a sea of backwardness. We call it enclave. Ever since our coming into government, we have launched programs repeatedly. Adinga na maoru. Adinga na maoru, agajamu mukuto. We have launched programs repeatedly. Bonawa gagaware. Prosperity for all. Okulembeka. When I went around the other time with Okulembeka. PMA, Plan for Modernization of Agriculture. Entandikwa. NADS. Operation Wealth Creation. NUSAF for Northern Uganda. NURAP. etc. All these are Amaoro. The aim is to get everybody waking up and engaging in commercial activities with the Kibaro. All these efforts were just to wake up our people from sleep, Kulambara, with the non-money, pre-capitalist activities of Okorera Echida Kyonka, or if you Korera for money, as some did in the colonial and post-colonial times, you do so without a kibaro, without chura, without aymar, without otita. This is the big, the 60 years battle of myself as an individual, and 50 years plus for the NRM struggle. Our efforts are beginning to succeed. In the last few years, we are beginning to have surplus maize. Ndikasora itiride. Nga kirungi. We now have 5 million tons versus 1 million tons consumed within Uganda. Sugar, 400,000 tons produced, only 300,000 consumed within Uganda. Bananas, amatoke. The bananas, some years ago, only the people in Ankole were growing bananas. But now, people in other areas have started growing bananas also. Especially Fort Portal. Fort Portal has come up as a big banana growing area. So the bananas are more now. Milk, 2.5 billion liters, now having grown from 200 million liters a year. 200 million liters, now 2.5 billion of milk per year. But Ugandans only consume 800 million liters. So there is a surplus of 1.7 billion liters. Tea, the production of tea now is 60 million kilograms, having risen from 3 million in 1986. Coffee is now 5 million bags, 5 million 60 kilogram bags, having grown from 2 million. The surge in production, on account of the limited waking up by our people, has meant the prices coming down to 300 shillings per kilo of maize, 300 shillings per liter of milk, etc. So the prices have now come down, and people were getting worried about this. However, this now again emphasizes what the NRM has been telling you from the 1960s. We've been telling you patriotism, love Uganda. If you love yourself, if you love your tribe, if you love your religion, you should love Uganda. Because it is Uganda which will help you as an individual, which will help your tribe, which will help your religious group more than your tribe. That's what I've been telling you. Patriotism, patriotism, patriotism. We form patriotism club. We are not in a theater acting. We are telling you this for your own good. We have been telling you about Pan-Africanism. Love Africa. Because even when you love Uganda, Uganda is not enough to support our prosperity. It's not enough. 42 million people are not enough. That's what we have been telling you from 1960s. Tetukyusanga moyo gwa Uganda, moyo gwa Africa. Patriotism, Pan-Africanism. This is the song of the NRM. Now, you have seen. We're telling you all this even before people woke up to produce, and you find you don't have the market. The internal market is not enough. It can't be enough. It appeared enough when people were sleeping, you were doing nothing. 42 million people, if you divide by 5, how many families? That's about 8 million families. You find all these families asleep. Zirambaire. But when they wake up, 8 million families wake up and they start producing, where would you sell all this? The internal market is not enough. And certainly the tribal market is not enough. The Banyankore market is not enough. The Baganda market is not enough for the Baganda products. So, the national market, the regional market, the African market, but also the international market. But you cannot negotiate for the international market if you don't have a big market of your own. But the other people will not listen to you. When somebody invites you for a meal, it is because he wants you, he knows that you are also going to invite him also. How can the villagers be more intelligent than the modern politicians? Banyankore say, the one who invites you for a meal is because he knows that also you will get him some advantage. How can the traditional Banyankore be more intelligent than the modern politicians of Africa? So, our message from the 1960s, patriotism, love Uganda, Pan-Africanism, love Africa, international cooperation for trade, a Mikago, but based on the strength of a united Africa. We can make better Mikago if we go as a united force. A Mikago is friendships. This is our message ever since 1965. Read any of my speeches for the last 5 years. Same point. Why? It is because prosperity, which only comes through the production of goods, prosperity first of all comes through the production of goods and services. If you are not producing any good, you are not producing any service, you are not going to be prosperous. You are not going to be prosperous through begging. Because if you are not producing your good, you are not producing your service, how will you be prosperous? The only alternative is to beg. But that's not a sustainable way of getting prosperity. So, if you are going to get prosperity through the production of goods and services, then the question is, who will buy your goods and services on a big scale? The more buyers you have, the better. And we say that it is because prosperity, which only comes through the production of goods and services according to the specialization of the different communities, can only be realized if you sell what you produce in big quantities so that you make profit. Other actors, however, have been telling Ugandans and other Africans about sectarianism of religion and tribes. For us, we say patriotism, love Uganda, Pan-Africanism. Others say no, those people are wrong. You love your tribe, you love your religion. Don't care about Uganda, don't care about Africa. We stand by what we say. Let them say what they say, this is what we say. And this limited waking up, when you produce a little bit of maize, a little bit of this, and you are stuck, you don't have the market, emphasizes our point. That's what we were telling you. Because those who say the tribes are very important, the religious sectarian groups are important, why then can the tribes and the religious sects not solve the problem of marketing our products now that there is this limited waking up? So let the tribes buy the milk. Because I was meeting the Banyankwere, you buy the milk now. Those who have been telling you, let them buy the milk. We have been telling you that the milk will be bought by the Ugandans, the ones in Kampala. But even those are not enough. We need the East Africans. Even those are not enough. We need all the Africans. But even those are not enough. We need to negotiate with the others. China is 1.3 billion people, 1.4 billion people inside one country. So they have got a guaranteed market of 1.4 billion people. But you find they are quarreling with America for additional markets. You are here not caring even about the 42 million which Uganda gives you. You are busy talking about Fengaba Ganda, Fengaba Nankoli. And yet we are just beginning. These big quantities we are talking about, we are just beginning. When you say the bananas are too many, we are still getting only 5 tons from one hectare of bananas. But Dr. Mranga in Bushenyi has told us that if we do things properly, we can get 50 tons from 1 hectare. So if the bananas are too much, when we are underproducing with 5 tons per hectare, what will happen when we wake up and we go to 50 tons per hectare? Where shall we sell all this? This Banyankwere was talking about milk. What is the yield per cow? 5 liters, 4 liters. I said, this is a joke. A cow, you cannot have a cow which should have less than 20 liters a day. So what will happen if we get those cows, the ones which give 20 liters a day? We have now got 14 million cows. So what if all of them we are giving 14 liters? No, of course, not all the 14, because if you have got 14 million, it means the milking ones would be like 1/3, 30%. That's about 3 million, 3.5 million milking. Each one giving 20 liters. You calculate to see how much that one is. So if we are now crying that things are too many, too much maize, too much bananas, too much milk, too much ebikado bingi kamara, when we are still underproducing, what will happen when we actually quantities will be bigger once our people wake up more? It is clear, therefore, that those who preach localism, who preach parochialism, who preach sectarianism of religion or tribe, are false prophets. Banabi Abebusuba. And they are enemies of our prosperity. They have always been enemies of even the survival of the African people. The preachers of parochialism were one of the causes for the colonization of Africa and the slave trade in the first place. We were colonized because of those same chiefs who were preaching localism when Africa was being attacked. Instead of working together to defend us, they were busy with parochialism. And in the end, the whole of Africa was colonized. And we just survived by because Africans don't die. That's how we survived. The NRM say, down with the sectarian opportunists of use of tribe, down with the opportunism of the use of religion, down with the opportunism of the exploitation of the gender issue, looking down upon women. By working with Africa through Pan-Africanism and patriotism and international cooperation, the NRM will solve the problem of the market in the products in which we have got comparative advantage. The producers, however, must solve one problem, the problem of quality, omutindo. Our products must be good quality, good size, good flavor, etc. And must be safe. No ruhumbo or mold, which produces aflatoxins, which are poisons. No harvested crop should be put on soil surface. Do not harvest immature crops, etc., etc. The Ministry of Agriculture will issue commands that must be followed to the letter by everybody. We cannot allow anybody to damage our future by bringing polluted products into the products of others. That is kuloga, to put evil into good things. Apart from negotiating for the markets abroad, we shall also help our people to broaden the final products from our raw materials. When we say that there is too much sugar, we currently only mean that there is too much sugar for sweetening tea. That's what we mean. How about the more refined sugar for using in Coca-Cola? How about the sugar for manufacturing the medicines needed by companies like Quality Chemicals to make syrup for children's medicines? How about making animal feeds out of the molasses of sugar? When we say that maize is too much, we only mean maize for making kaunga. How about animal feeds? How about industrial starch? How about pharmaceutical grade starch for making tablets in medicines? We can even get petrol, ethanol, from maize. Investors could not invest in these areas when the raw materials were in small quantities. Now that we have big quantities, the investors will invest in processing maize beyond the kaunga, in sugar beyond sugar for tea, etc., etc. With milk, while there is cry of unsold milk, Uganda is still importing milk products for many millions of dollars per year. Importing what? Baby milk, baby formula milk. We shall make the baby milk from our own milk. We are finally waking up more and more. Salutations to the NRM. The NRM leaders should closely follow the production for wealth creation of all the households in the respective areas. The other issue that affects the masses is education. The NRM knew that many families could not yet pay for education. That is why we introduced Bona Basomere Bwelere, study free, universal free education, UPE, in 1997. Many children came into school. The head teachers and some local groups have been bringing back school charges into schools. I do not agree with this because many children are expelled from UPE and USC schools. I'm calling on the NRM leaders in the villages to stop this. At the beginning of this term, I asked each village assembly to pass a resolution as to whether we should tolerate head teachers who introduce school charges in UPE, USC schools or not. the new Minister of Local Government should resolve this issue. Can all the parents afford? If they can, we go on with the school fees and we shift UPE USC grants from the central government to other items. If you don't need UPE, why do we send grants to the schools? If the parents can afford, why then do we send grants? If they cannot, why then do you impose such charges and do so without consulting the central government? Are you an enemy of these children or an enemy of the country? The other issue that affects the people is illegal land evictions. In the CA, the NRM restored the rights of the landlords, but also put very firm security for Viwanja owners. The foreign persons are rightful Viwanja owners. Number one, the one who was given a Kibanja by the landlord or his agent. Number two, the one who was in that Kibanja by 1983 or before, even if he was not allowed there by the landlord or his agent. We call this one bona fide occupant. 3, the one who inherited from either of the above two. 4, the one who bought from either one of the two above. Number 5, the first to settle on a kibanja on public land, kutembura, as they call it in Runyankore, or to settle in an itongo, abandoned land. If I am the one who settled on first time on the public land, that's my kibanja. That's the traditional way. And when I move away, my kibanja now becomes itongo. So, after a few years, if somebody else comes and settles there, he's the rightful owner. When my family moved from Nyaburuza Parish to Chikoni Parish in 1949, other people came and took our ancestral land, and they are there. Recently, I had to go back to Enkondo and buy back some of my own land from the ones who are there. That's our traditional system. Any of the above is on the kibanja legally. Anybody removing him or her is acting illegally, and the NRM will not tolerate this. Moreover, in spite of needing money for the roads, the railway, electricity, the schools, the health units, defense and law and order, the time has come for us to take up the cry of the people of Mubende to compensate those absentee landlords so that the legal kibanja holders have ownership. We shall look for the money. The land fund has been there, but it has been small. It's not enough. I, however, also warn the dishonest people who enter other people's land when they are not in one of the 5 categories above. This is criminal. We shall protect the legal Bivanja owners. We shall also protect the land owners who are productively using their land. The country needs the big land owners that are using their land economically to grow cotton, tobacco, maize, sugarcane, cattle ranching, forestry, coffee, fruits, dairy farming, etc., etc. Some of these enterprises cannot be economically viable on smaller pieces of land. Be legal and productive. we shall stand with you. The NRM has opened a war on corruption. We shall defeat corruption. There is no corrupt individual that we cannot bring down. All we want is evidence. We never want to be unfair to anybody. Stay tuned on this. Congratulations on finishing 2019, and I wish you a happy 2020. Apoyo Matek, Rubanga Coin, Yarama, our default, Alakala no. Thank you very much.